So President Biden said Wednesday that White House would forgive $10,000 in federal student debt per person. And this is a massive move that have implications not only for education, but for many areas of American lives. And so now we're going to dissect what this means for students and the wider economy. So as we stand, there are two forms of debt cancellation: $10,000 in federal student debt of most borrowers and up to $20,000 for Pell Grant recipients. And Pell Grant recipients, for those who don't know, are grants provided to undergraduate students with special financial need. And so this relief is limited based on income qualifications, but hear this out: income only less than $125,000 per year and a couple or heads of households earning $250,000 per annum collectively. So yeah, this is very extensive debt cancellation across the board. So in United States, college education remains popular, as data suggests that since 2005, student loan amount in United States has increased from about $500 billion to $1.7 trillion today. And it seems that even today, whilst the wages have not yet been on the strongest rise up, it does pay more to be college graduates than not, as college graduates make almost twice the amount the high school graduates earn. So let's discuss the financial burden this could be to the country's economy. In total, how much money is going to be poured into this scheme? Well, Biden said that 95% of the borrowers would benefit from the plan, or about 43 million people. Of those, over 60% are Pell Grant recipients. All in all, nearly 45% of the borrowers, or almost 20 million people, would have their debt fully cancelled, according to Biden. So take a look at how the student loan amounts are distributed among loan holders. The estimation from the White House seems about correct. Now, Biden's decision to move ahead with $10,000 in student debt cancellation for borrowers who earn under $125,000 will cost the federal government around $244 billion, and the $20,000 in relief for Pell Grant recipients may add around $120 billion to the government costs. That is a total of $364 billion worth of debt that would be wiped out. Now, student debt is currently the second largest type of household debt after mortgage loans, accounting for about 10% of total household debt. On average, people spend about $222 every month on student loan payments, according to the Federal Reserve. The problem with debt, however, is that it reduces the amount of money that people can spend on goods and services, which in turn reduces the US economy. Debt can also ruin a person's credit score, which means they might not be as capable to get a loan in the future. And furthermore, it is worth noting that before the pandemic, approximately 3% of the federal student loan holders were behind in their payments. Not so bad, right? Loan repayments have been poor since spring 2020, and as part of his debt relief plan, Mr. Biden said he will extend his moratorium until the end of this year. And so perhaps one of the most significant parts of Mr. Biden's plan is his intention to cap undergraduate loan payments at 5% of person's discretionary income. Very nice. The White House estimates that this will cut many loan payments in half. Now, Mr. Steinbaum, an economics teacher at University of Utah, said that this is essentially another form of loan forgiveness, since under the new plan, interest payments that exceed this repayment cap won't be added to their future debt load. This will especially cover people who hold large amounts of debt. And so for the 20-odd million people, the debt forgiveness is likely to make a big impact on people's monthly budgets and increase spending. And for the wide economy, it could have a knock-on effects on inflation when it is already at an all-time high, by giving people more buying power and thus allowing prices to rise even more. However, most economists say the effects would be modest, since debt relief would increase people's monthly income by only a few $100s on average. But former Treasury Secretary Larry Summers warned that debt relief, in addition to possibly rising, if not already high inflation, could also make it easier for schools to raise tuition, which then totally defeats the purpose. Now, this isn't the outcome we expected. And this is a very valid concern, because inflation began with more than $13 trillion being printed since COVID. $5.2 trillion for COVID, $4.5 for quantitative easing, and $3 trillion for infrastructure. $0.4 trillion extra dollars is added to the mix with this debt forgiveness program. And with the inflation problem at its worst, any extra money printing through debt cancellation probably isn't the best idea to add onto our current large issue. And if you'd like to know more about the dire issues we are facing and will face due to inflation, check out the video in the top right hand corner. And of course, this isn't the only way debt cancellation policy is broken. It has been researched that 4 years after earning a bachelor's degree, black graduates have nearly $25,000 more in student loan than their white peers, according to a Brookings Institution study. This is due to the fact that they borrow more on average than white students, but also because black graduates with a bachelor's degree or higher earn an average of about $5,000 less than white graduates, according to the National Center for Education Statistics. Wisdom Cole, the college and youth director for the National Associate for the Advancement of Colored People, says that $10,000 debt cancellation was not enough, with strong demands to cancel their entire debts. And some other critics have also attacked Biden's plan, saying that it gives money to the elites. People who do not have post-secondary education and thus do not hold student debt are likely to come from a poorer family than their debt-ridden college attendees. And statistically, people who earn higher incomes tend to take on more student debt. And also, University of Pennsylvania estimated that 69 to 73% of the debt forgiven would come from households in the top, not bottom, but top 60% of income distribution. But an economics professor by the name Marshall Steinbaum at the University of Utah said that these arguments fail to understand the dramatic shift in education, debt, and income over the past few decades. He said, "It is harder and harder to get a job with fewer educational credentials. The idea that student debtors are privileged and people who don't have a student debt are underprivileged, it is simply not factual." He further added, education isn't a luxury, but a necessity for most people, as almost 2/3 of American high school grads go on to post-secondary study. All in all, Mr. Steinbaum is of supportive stance when it comes to student loan forgiveness, but he added that the plan fails to address the root cause of the problem, which is high tuition fees that is primarily shouldered by individuals. And so instead of government funding for schools, students are asked to pick up the majority of the tab for their education, and then when they can't pay, the government steps in to forgive their loans. A can being kicked down the road is what it looks like while the problem keeps getting worse. So all in all, I think that it's best that for those of you who are educated, no matter what area, income bracket, or discipline, you should understand the immense privilege that it is to be educated on a global scale. Biden's forgiveness is nevertheless an opportunity for some. And I think we ought to be thankful at the very least and cherish our education to either directly or indirectly benefit and develop not only ourselves, but our neighbors in every best way possible. And so if you haven't done so, make sure you go like, share, and subscribe, and ring that notification bell so that you can stay updated with every video that I post on this channel. Thank you.